Hi, this is James Gordon here with the fourth book in the Mutants Amok series. The book I'll be talking about today, Holocaust Horror by Mark Grant, under the conundrum David Biscoff. This was published by Avon Books in September 1991. So this is the fourth book in the series, and as you notice, there's a big gap between this book and the third one, Rebel Attack, which I have a feeling did very badly during sales and probably had a lot of backlash from fans after how different the tone was compared to the first two books. This book was not that good, sadly. While it has an interesting plot and a few good action sequences, however, I felt the plot was not well executed. There's some other issues I have with it, along with parts I feel very dull, slow, bad dialogue, and some other shit that I'm not really happy with this book. And this is a real shame, because I thought the idea that David was going with this one was really interesting, and he introduced a new villain, which I really liked. Sadly, it's not enough to save this book. So yeah, overall, I did not enjoy this book at all. This was a really huge letdown. During my review, I'll explain the many issues or problems I had with it, and it's really up to you if you want to check this series if you want to check this series out or not. I feel that the first two books are the best. This one and then the later one I felt were not that good, so it's up to you if you want to check this series out. Alright, on to the review. Plot. Out in the Arizona desert in Phoenix, a squad of the 47th Guerrilla Division of the General Resistance Movement, Commander Marty Abrams, Sergeant Moose Callahan, Brasso, and Adams are following a convoy of armored trucks driven by mutants. Believing it's the mutants carrying supplies to a nearby base, they plan to attack it, then steal the hardware. Launching tow missiles at the armored convoy, they run towards the burning wreckage, armed with submachine guns and assault rifles. However, the trailer opens, revealing a new breed of cyborg mutants. They fight them off, but prove difficult to kill. Abrams orders her squad back to the armored jeep and flee back to base. Meanwhile, Jack Bender, along with Max Turkel, Jill Morningstar, and Phil Potts are drinking at a bar before leaving LA. However, a gang of half-seat bikers make fun at Max for drinking root beer. This causes a fight to break out, with Jack still bitter about his ex-girlfriend abandoning him over the British mutant actor, and joins the fight to let off some steam. After the fight, Potts comes in with a list of half-seat doctors that can remove Hardin, who has attached himself to where Max's liver used to be. However, Hardin warns Max if he attempts to remove him, it will result in his death, and he has orders for him. Hardin reveals a deformed human, Dr. Edward Wilkins, has come to Overlord Ignatius Charmaine 75 with plans on building atomic weapons to aid him in his quest to exterminate the human race. However, this would also kill off the mutants, turning all of Earth into a toxic wasteland. They plan to go to Arizona and find this Dr. Wilkins, kill him, and destroy these atomic weapons before they fall into mutant hands. And Ignatius is hell-bent on getting them, and will even kill his own brain generals who disagree with him. They drive out in the desert in a buggy. Max leads them to an abandoned hotel and steps out. He goes over to a fake rattlesnake and pulls its tail, activating a hidden door. The group steps inside and meets Gunfer, a German resistance fighter who knows the area well. Max wants to know where they can find heavy water, which Dr. Wilkins plans to use for his atomic weapons. Later that night, while Jack is in the middle of having sex with Jill, the base is under attack by mutant rats. Reaching for their guns, they fight off the mutant rats, then use jetpacks to escape out into the desert. They meet more Native Americans along with a priest who aid them, and it isn't long till Abrahams meets the rebel group. Abrahams tells them that the mutants have a base out in Phoenix where they are building a nuclear reactor. It's highly guarded, and is where they'll find Dr. Wilkins. With the data Abrams has gathered, she plans to launch a full assault on the base. Max is skeptical it will work, but they don't have much choice. Jack also has a bad feeling about the mission. The rebels attempt to sneak in, but their cover is blown and mutant rats and frogs are released, killing many of the resistance, including Jill. Jack, enraged, fires all his guns at the mutant animals. Then they meet the cyborg mutants, as their thick armor is difficult to penetrate. The remaining resistance members are forced to retreat. Feeling bitter about the loss of Jill and unsure what to do next, Potts is able to get Jack to come to a club in Phoenix where the resistance members go to have fun with half-seas. While there, they spot Trevor, a hatchback halfseat with two brains, Dr. Wilkins' assistant. They capture him and take his one brain, using it to gain information on Dr. Wilkins' plan. Meanwhile, Dr. Wilkins tortures Trevor for being captured and revealing the plan's to Resistance. It's now a race against time to prevent Dr. Wilkins from creating an atomic bomb. If Jack and the others fail to stop him, then Ignatius Charming 75 will have a doomsday weapon. Holocaust Horror was a weak sequel that fails to make up for the awful rebel attack. While the idea of a crazed scientist working for Ignatius was interesting, it was glad to see the comedic element fully removed, but it felt the rest of the plot was a mess along with bad dialogue. There are moments where it gets dull with lots of characters talking and didn't really care for most of them. However, I felt the new villain of Dr. Wilkins, a deformed human in a wheelchair with a creepy look, was interesting, as he was both menacing and crazy on creating an atomic bomb with no care for human life, and would even kill his mutant allies if they got in the way. I really dislike Jill, who becomes a selfish jerk who keeps mouthing off to both Jack and Max. Abraham's got annoying to read, especially her cringy dialogue, to the point where I just want her to shut up. I also dislike how women kept throwing themselves onto Jack, as he's like a magnet for any horny woman. He even steals Pot's girlfriend, which I felt was a selfish thing to do. However, the worst I felt was the plot. It starts off good, but then begins to fall apart fast, with the failed assault on the mutant base, with Jack wasting time watching tapes of cartoons and movies until Potts gets him to visit a club to try to have sex with a woman. Then somehow they figure out Dr. Wilkins has an assistant, Trevor, and they easily capture him, then hook up his brain, gathering information on what his master is plotting. This just comes out of nowhere, as not once are they told their enemy has an assistant who just happens to be at the club. The rest of the novel becomes a mess with rushed scenes of action along with some unwanted filler. I really felt David missed the mark with so many opportunities on making this a solid action-packed novel. Had David taken out the filler, not rushed the action sequences, along with making them more intense, improved the characters, along with improving the plot with a better grand finale, then this novel would have been a smash hit. Overall, I don't recommend Holocaust Horror. It's just not good as the first two novels, as it fails to capture what made those fun, along with being sloppy at times. A shame too, as I really wanted to like this novel. Alright, that's for the review today. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I was really disappointed with Holocaust Horror. I really wanted this to be a good book. I was hoping this would be a lot better than the awful Rebel Attack, but this book just missed the mark on so many opportunities that would have made this a solid, good sequel. So I'll start with what I liked with this book. I thought the idea that having a deformed human, Dr. Edward Wilkins, this creepy looking deformed guy in this wheelchair who's got like long faded hair, long fingernails, got a really creepy looking face, and he's got this menacing laugh, and while I was envisioning the scenes with him, I was kind of envisioning the actor that plays Doc Brown from Back to the Future. Like, what if he became evil and was bound to a wheelchair? This is who I kind of envisioned who would play the character in my mind, so that's who I envisioned what Dr. Wilkins was like. And I really like this character. He's a really menacing villain. He's obsessed with recreating the atomic bomb and doesn't care if he gets himself killed in the process. He just wants to see the big explosion to watch the mushroom crowd like rise up in the sky. He's insane. He has no loyalty to anyone. He treats his servant Trevor badly. He even kicks his pet cats around, which I did not like reading those scenes at all. And he doesn't care if he kills like his mutant allies. If anyone gets in his way, he'll kill, torture, or do whatever he wants. And I just thought this was a really interesting villain. So I like the human villain that's in this, and he's wants to aid Ignatius on creating an atomic bomb and help him his quest to exterminate the human race. But this will also cause problems for the mutants, turning Earth into a toxic wasteland, which would make life unlivable. So the stakes have risen in this one. I like the setting that Holocaust Horror takes place in, set in the deserts of Phoenix. I really like the desert scenery. So I thought, okay, the plot is good. The setting is interesting. However, it's just not well executed. My big issue is that it felt sloppily put together. Like, if there's parts I felt that were rushed. There's scenes that the action it just moves too quickly, and I felt David could have built up the suspense and really done better with the action sequences and the plot, but just does a really bad job handling them here. The beginning of the book gets off to an interesting start where we follow Abrams and her squad as they follow a mutant convoy, which they believe that it's the mutants just taking supplies to a nearby base, so they plan to attack the convoy and just steal the hardware from themselves. However, they discover a new breed of mutants, these cyber mutants, which are much more tougher and stronger and much more difficult to kill. So I thought, okay, this is another interesting thing to see. And right after the opening part, it then goes to Jack, Max, Potts, and Jill Morningstar as they're at a bar in LA and having a few drinks before they leave, and then Max gets into a bar fight with a bunch of hasty bikers who make fun of him drinking root beer because of Hardin doesn't like alcohol, who's now attached himself to Max's body. And this leads to this brutal bar fight with Jack joining Max to let off some steam as he's still bitter about his girlfriend Jenny leaving him. Which I still thought that was like one of the stupidest things that the author could have done was have Jenny brought back after she was killed off and then joins a mutant actor over her. Like, I just thought that was so stupid. But anyway, so after the bar fight, Potts comes in with a list of doctors that can help remove the Hardin from Max's body. However, they're talking loudly, which Hardin hears this and he warns Max if he attempts to remove this, it will get him killed. And I'm thinking to myself, you couldn't have Potts just hand him the note and they could have, like, you know, like have some conversation where it's like they're acting like they're talking about something else, but Max can clearly see on the note what the steps that would have to be done to get rid of Hardin for good. And then after this, Hardin tells, okay, now I have a mission for you to do. And he tells them what Ignatius is planning with this atomic bomb out in Arizona. And I was like, how do you know this? Like, I kind of wish Hardin would explain where he's getting this information from, because Hardin just seems to pull this information out of thin air, and it's like, how do you know what Ignatius is doing next? Like, it's never explained if if Ignatius told Hardin his plans later on to conquest Earth and how to experiment the humans. It's never explained. It's just Hardin suddenly has all this information out of nowhere. So they hop on a buggy, they go to Phoenix, and then Max leads them to a place. He doesn't explain where they're going, and then they meet another resistance fighter. I wish Max would say, okay, I know a buddy that can help us and stuff. No, they just get in a buggy and they just drive in the desert, and then Max says, pull over here. And he doesn't explain what it is, and then until later it's like, oh, well, you could have said something. So then after meeting Gumpher, and then the whole assault on the abandoned hotel, and then after the escape on the jetpacks, they meet more resistance fighters, and then they meet Abrams was planning to launch a all-out assault on the mutant base, and this is like really early in the book, and I was expecting this much later. And it just, this is one of my issues with Holocaust Horror. I just felt these action sequences were just sloppily done. Like, when it gets to the mutant base, everything just happens all at once, and it just goes horribly wrong, like within a few pages, and then it gets slow as Jack doesn't know what to do, and he's upset about the death of Jill Morningstar, which I really hated this character. She was like starting to become a bit of a selfish brat, just mouthing off to Jack and Max constantly throughout the book. And I'm like, will you shut up? I'm getting tired of hearing your bitching about Jack not interested in getting on with you because he's still upset over of Jenny, and her bitching about Max being too old to get it on. It's like this was annoying. She started off interesting in the second book, but then the third and fourth book she just gets really annoying. So I'm kind of thankful that she gets killed off in this book, because I was really I just couldn't stand this character. And then Potts is able to convince Jack to go to a club and to try to have some fun, to try to help him feel better. And then while at the club, Potts introduces Jack to Potts' new girlfriend, Tina, who suddenly finds Jack way more attractive than Potts and easily seduces him. And this I just kind of felt was like really a selfish thing to do. It's like, why would you take someone else's girlfriend? And this also annoyed me. All the women that Jack comes to be throughout this series, they just throw themselves onto him like he's like a chick magnet. So I was just getting annoyed just reading scenes where when a woman instantly sees Jack for the first time, they instantly become horny, like instantly. It's like, this is stupid. And then, while at the club, they somehow know this. Like, no one has told them this information about that. Dr. Wilkins has an assistant, a hunchback a hunchback halfsee, Trevor, and they spot him. It's like, oh, that's Dr. Wilkins' assistant. Who told them this? No one has told them this information. It just appeared out of thin air again. It's like, how does this? How is this possible? So they capture him, then they take his brain, and they're able to get the information out of his one brain, but it doesn't occur to them, maybe take the other brain? No, they just take the one. And then this leads to them finding out what Dr. Wilkins is planning next. So this leads to a all-out assault in this hidden base out in the desert. And I just felt this entire sequence just felt so sloppy done. I did not like it at all, and it was really a shame too, because there was some nice scenery within this like desert base, but it's all like it's like all in a hurry just to get everything going and then wrap it up just to finish it up. And I felt David could have slowed down this, stretch out the action sequence a bit more, like have it keep going. Like, why are you in a rush to wrap it up now? And another issue I have with this book series is a character that completely disappears from this one. Well, he actually disappears in the third book, and that's Joe Bullfeathers, the Indian guy that Jack and Max meet in the second book. He completely disappears in the third book, and he's never brought up again in the later series. Like, what happened to this character? He's last seen in Rebel Attack after a poker game goes badly when Max vomits over the table. After that scene, it's like Joe Bullfeathers decided, you know what? I don't want to take part in this fight anymore. He just gets up and leaves, and he's never brought up again. It's like, what happened to the character? You can't just erase a character like that. You have to explain where they went. It's never stated if he was killed off or he just decided, nah, I don't want to do this. Yeah, so there was like so many issues with this book, and there's a lot of bad dialogue in it, especially from Abrams, who says a lot of really bad, cringy things, and I was like, oh man, she was really getting on my nerves how annoying she is. And then there's a cringy sex scene between her and Max where she just forces herself onto him. I was like, well, I'm glad to see he's finally getting some action, but it felt so forced. Like, this could have been done so much better. And then it gets awkward when Hardin reveals himself. It's like, oh, would someone please get rid of this disgusting mutant from Max's body already? Like, I was expecting like they would like get rid of this guy already, but no, they don't. And I just felt this book could have been so much better had David, like, improved the plot, made it more better, stretch out the action sequences, maybe some more backstory on some of the characters. Like, they're just like introduced and we don't get really to know much about them. It's just, here's this character, here's that character. There's no backstory. I'm not asking for like a long backstory, just a few pages explaining where these characters came from. And another thing, I wish that like how they get information from like the mutants could have done better. Like, I was thinking to myself that there could have been a part where Jack, Max, and Potts raid like a mutant base, and they go to the computers and they find data on what Ignatius and Dr. Wilkins is planning next. That would make more sense. Like find information on computers, disks, or capture like a brain gel and torture him for information. Like, that would have made more sense. Instead, David just has these characters able to gain information instantly, and it takes them no time at all to know where they got to go next. And I was like, this is just a mess. And as I said, the finale is just rushed. It feels very sloppy, and I just felt David was just in a rush to get this whole book wrapped up so he can just go to the next one. Yeah, so overall, Holocaust Horror was just not a good book. I was really disappointed with this one. I wanted this to be a lot better than Rebel Attack, because that book was fucking terrible. This one I felt like I thought the premise was good. The setting I liked, but so many missed opportunities. What could have been a really good sequel. I really felt that David could have salvaged this series with this book, but unfortunately he just drops the ball on it. And after I was done with Holocaust Horror, I instantly went to Christmas Slaughter, the final book in the series, to see if that book was any better than this one or not. So go to the next review in the series to see what my final thoughts and opinions are on that book and this series. Alright, that's for the review today. Hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our library, the channel where I post book reviews, book hauls, and artificial content. Until then, I'll catch you later.